post-Lok Sabha election scenario has created a conducive environment for interfaith dialogues to prosper. By making conscious efforts in this direction, we can create a brighter future for all of us, a future which is free of fear and full of love for all Indians. Welcome to The Matrix. Lok Sabha election results have proved that Indian communities cannot afford to live in hostile islands, cut off from each other. There is simply no alternative to harmony and dialogue between people of different faiths. To speak on this important topic, I have with me Khwaja Iftikhar Ahmed Sahab, who's a renowned author and somebody who's worked in the field of interfaith harmony for a very long time. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much.
Sir, my first question to you would be that a majority of people of our country are peace-loving, who like to live in social harmony. How can we grow on this quality?
I am going to offer you a very typical answer.
Right.
When we look at our country and its civilization, intercultural harmony, interfaith harmony, and even intercontinental harmony. India is the living legend of this. This is how our culture over centuries have grown. And I always say, rather claim, that every Indian soul born on this part of the planet Earth is a soul in harmony and in peace with himself and with surroundings as well. Why? Because here it is a country where not only human beings are loved, birds, all creatures, animals, trees,
Right.
plants, environment, sea, forest, nature in its absolute terms. So harmony Atir comes to us in a very natural way. Therefore, for thousands and thousands of years, if you look at how has India grown as a country, as a civilization, every ideology, every faith practiced in any part of the world, even faith which are absolutely contrary to the original faith or the faith of the land of origin, India. They came here, settled here, lived here, prospered here, and even they had the freedom to not only to practice freely in a peaceful environment, but also to preach and propagate. So when you ask me a question that by and large it is a peaceful country, I'll put it this way, that we are a peaceful country in its absolute terms. But when you have 140 crore people, small things here and there
Right.
cannot prevail on the actual essence of our civilization.
Yes.
So, one thing, in specific terms, if I have to tell you as an answer to your question, talk mostly about harmony and please stop giving importance to isolated and alien voices which have an agenda of creating unrest in the society and to disturb people on various counts, so that something or the other in the form of disharmony prevails and they play their cards on that. So it is the collective and joint responsibility of all of us to be alert on such elements and to give them answer through our harmony.
Right.
In our rank and file.
Exactly.
So that's my approach to that.
To create a shield.
Yes.
Which is,
yes.
which cannot be...
The pictures in the background
Right.
that you are putting
Right.
up here, what is it? Isn't it a reflection of our harmony?
Exactly, sir. But my question to you, sir, is that have we taken this social harmony for granted? Ever since Indian independence, interfaith dialogue, interfaith interactions should have been a regular feature which should have been institutionalized. But what has happened is that we have these interfaith dialogues very rarely, and these things happen when there is a communal clash, there are communal disturbance. Then suddenly we wake up and we say, look, there is a need to have a interaction of social harmony, interfaith dialogue. Don't you think that there is a need to institutionalize these dialogues, and not just by certain people but at a bigger level?
Atir, I fully agree with you that interfaith harmony is a regular and recurring subject of concern for all of us. And as a community, and as a society, and as a state, we should always be conscious of the fact that at no point of time harmony, particularly interreligious harmony or interfaith harmony as we call to it,
right,
is not compromised.
You mentioned this in your book also.
In the book also.
Yes.
My book, the Meeting of Minds,
right,
a bridging initiative, is very much focused on this part of it. Now, you are talking about institutionalizing interfaith dialogue. I don't know why successive governments, and I think all ideological dispensations had the opportunity to rule India through democratic process.
right,
National Communal Harmony Foundation of India was raised under the garb of the Ministry of Home Affairs. But even that foundation couldn't deliver much, because that was more on the symbolic kind of a thing,
right,
not something which is very much on ground and continuously working on ground with people and with various segments of the society wherever their presence was required. You very rightly said, Atir, that off and on, when there is a communal clash, at that point of time, you are calling religious leaders, they are sitting together, they are talking about peace, they are talking about harmony, they are making some suggestions, and then it became an event, and it has just left its memory as an event only.
exactly. So that's
the follow-up part,
right,
to which you are referring, and very rightly you are referring to, the follow-up is missing in our country.
yes,
I would suggest, in fact, I would request rather through your forum to our leadership and to the government of the day that when we are the legend of interfaith harmony, when unity in diversity is our mantra,
right,
then we should, and we champion this, and very proudly so we do that, then why not we put in place an institutional mechanism
right,
which is there not in symbolic terms but which is very much there as a real term.
exactly. Keeping aside political interest.
Forget politics.
Yes.
Politics is not all the time required. Harmony is required all the time.
Right.
Let politics go on as it goes on. That's not my concern much. My concern is, as society, as people of the same country, of the same breed, all right, of the same roots and all, now, we should live in harmony. And what is harmony? Harmony is everybody trusts everybody.
Yes.
So any trust deficit anywhere
Right.
is the challenge.
Yes.
And for that, your point is well taken that institutionalize, it is high time to institutionalize interfaith harmony. I give you an example of mine.
Right.
When this Islam and Muslims and terrorism, these three things were clubbed together and they became sort of synonyms.
Right.
There were two options. One is you say that it is a conspiracy and you just run away from it and go for escapist tendency. I'm a person, if there is something unusual happening, the right course is not to condemn that, criticize that by the conspiracy theory. The right course is accept that as a challenge.
Right.
And for a person like me, every challenge is an opportunity.
Yes.
Muslims should have taken that as an opportunity, and I took it up in the Indian context in 2005
Right.
when I established this Interfaith Harmony Foundation of India.
Right.
Right. And fortunately so, just to mention it, that my foundation is the first foundation which has organized South Asia Interfaith Harmony Conclave for the first time
Right.
in the post-independence India.
Yes.
So, as a community, instead of escaping from the scene, the best course is that get into the center of the situation
Yes,
and
confront
do
it.
something concrete there.
Right.
So, not only Muslims alone, all communities.
Right.
And we have got enough people. You look at these people, every person is a very respectable
Yes,
person.
and they're all willing.
Yes,
They're all willing.
all these people,
Yes.
they are very much there
Yes.
to come together
Yes.
and to do something substantial on ground. It is high time for interfaith harmony to be taken up by the government, establish a foundation, make it working, on multiple fronts, and it should be seen on ground as and when, wherever there is a need for that.
But sir, I wonder that why does it happen that these interfaith harmony meets happen, but they fall through. But there's nothing. There should be different tracks of dialogues which are so important for all the mistrust to go. When you sit and you take up issues one by one, that these are the issues which are agitating our mind, or we have doubts. Can you clear them? Why is it that only these certain leaders, we see them in such events? It should rather be transferred to different tiers, different levels
Absolutely.
of common people, and not just the religious leaders. So why is it that cannot happen in a country?
There is one major problem. And that major problem is that it is not criticism, I'm just making my point.
Right.
When our respectable religious, spiritual leaders have a sort of get together, everybody is talking about everything is too good.
It's goody.
Yeah. It looks as if it is an exercise in symbolism.
It's a posturing of.
All right.
Yes.
We're trying to posture that everything is fine. Well, everything is fine, yes. But along with that, there are certain grey areas.
Yes.
I think we should have the courage. And India has that much of vibrance in itself as a country, as a civilization, as a society, that let us change the track of our thinking and reasoning now. And that track is pick up the issues which have the element of divisiveness.
Yes.
Whether they are
sticking points.
Whether they are in religion A, B, C, D, E, or F.
Right.
All right. And I am deadly sure the amount of time that I have spent on understanding all these scriptures of all the practicing faiths in my country, I can say with 100% confidence that these are not major conflict things. These are differences. The moment we start getting into dialoguing, talking, and for that listening is the most important thing.
Yes.
Let me develop a habit to listen my opponent, if you consider anybody opponent.
Right.
Right? And secondly, maintain cool. Maintain cool is very important.
Yes, of course.
When somebody is talking about something which is not to your liking, now that's the time when you should have absolute cool, give time, listen to him, understand things, and pick up some threads from there, from where we can start to have our meeting points.
Yes, nobody is perfect.
Who is perfect?
Yes.
As long as we are human beings, we can never be perfect.
So and that's what tolerance is all about.
Tolerance is all the time there.
Right.
I remember when I was in 2000, when I had gone to America, and I had an interactive session of which Sri Sri Ravi Shankar ji was also part of.
Right.
And in fact, I had organized that with the Iqra Foundation in Chicago.
Okay.
And there were Jewish leaders and Christian leaders, and Sri Sri ji was actually heading the whole exercise.
Right.
And there, when I spoke, I talked about tolerance compounds.
Right.
And somebody, pinpointed that Dr. Khwaja, don't use this word tolerance. I haven't applied that mind my mind in that direction. So tolerance is a negative
Right.
connotation it has. The right word would be harmony.
Yes, of course.
I tolerate you means certain circumstances have pushed me to a situation where I have to bear that you are there. So this attitude
Right.
has to go. You are there, I am there, we are together, and if there are differences, please talk,
Exactly.
please dialogue.
Yes.
And these get-togethers now should convert into real dialogue sessions on issues that are either dividing us or that are bothering the minds of youth or the minds of the people. Don't run away from issues.
Right.
For example, somebody asks me something about, why do you offer prayers towards the Kaaba? Well, instead of getting irritated,
Yes. It could be an innocent question.
yes, by and large it is an innocent question. So answer that
Right.
this is the logic, and because of this logic, this practice is being done.
Yes.
Rather than you get irritated and then you lose your temper and you give silly answers to that.
Yes.
And you charge a person that you have some other design and all that.
Yes.
This is not to be done.
This feeling, this misconception of supremacy,
Yeah.
that needs to go.
No supremacy.
Yes.
You so many times you must have heard about that a verse. Lakum dinakum waliya din. What is that?
Yes.
To be your way and to be mine. Simple. Now, I am nobody out there to peep into your domain,
Yes.
and vice versa.
Right.
The only domain that is available to the civil society across the world is that respect. All faiths, number one.
Yes. Very
And
important.
secondly, respect the right to have a faith of your own choice. It is your fundamental right.
Yes.
Accept this also with due grace.
Right.
That's point number 2.
Yes.
And point number 3 is that to be together
Right.
and to stay together and to work for togetherness, it is the joint liability and responsibility of all faith leaders to be smart enough to come out with issues, as I said before, that these are the 3, 4, 5 issues. Let us pick up one by one.
They are never discussed.
But this is never done.
Yes.
So to me, I'm not impressed by these get-togethers. I'm sorry to say that.
Yes.
It is like, and people who are watching all this, they know that this is symbolism.
Yes. Exactly.
So it is high time that under the leadership of the government of the day, Prime Minister Modi, I would urge him that now this symbolism should go and realism should take over, and let us get into a regular dialogue where we discuss issues that bother each other about each other.
Do you think that government has a role to play in all this?
The government is a facilitator. Who will institutionalize this? Had it been a situation otherwise, there are so many swamis and so many ulamas and so many organizations, spiritual organizations, religious organizations, social organizations, NGOs and all that. All that is very much there, and they are doing good work. I salute all of them for the good work that they are doing. But the point is, the problem stays.
Right.
And the problem stands. So state, the strongest institution
Right.
is the state.
Creates a framework for
Right?
maybe.
So state, the constitution, all right, and our civil society and the leadership of the day.
Right.
All these 4 components have to come together and institutionalize something. Now it should not be delayed further.
Right.
You mentioned one thing in your first question about Lok Sabha elections. And in your introduction, there was a reference in your introduction that the results,
Yes.
have pushed all the relevant parties
Yes.
to rethink
Yes.
that the mandate is, from a person like me, it's not who is winning and who is losing.
Right.
For me, India is winning or not, that's the question before I and you.
Absolutely.
And in that context, the mandate of the people is for harmony.
Absolutely, undoubtedly.
And the mandate of the election, it is a call to all political parties,
Yes.
to the entire political leadership of the country, that hate and hatred,
Right.
enmity, this is not our cup of tea. India is not meant for all this.
Right.
India is meant for harmony, for peace, and not only for ourselves. We have to be an example for others, that with thousands of differences and diversities,
Right.
we are a strong, solid nation.
Right. And in this scenario, should there be any aversion to any community, to any particular party? It's said that the Muslims are averse to BJP, but we know that there's data coming in that almost 8% of Muslims have voted for BJP. Do you think this kind of perception which is created, this sort of perception could be counterproductive in creating a conducive environment for interfaith harmony or social harmony?
Arthur, in democracy, we as citizens of the country are given the right to choose ideology, political party, leadership, its agenda, and so on and so forth. Everybody is free to do that.
Right.
I have been saying it for years and years together. In politics, and more so in democratic politics, there are no enemies. This trend of opposing a particular political party, in this case Bharatiya Janata Party, the community like the party or don't like the party. I don't want to use the word dislike.
Right.
It is your prerogative.
Yes.
And to that extent, it's perfectly fine.
Right.
There is nothing to object
In a
and there is
democracy.
nothing to talk about it.
Right.
But making it a point
Yes.
that come what may,
Rubbing it in,
all right, repeating that and pressurizing people, stereotyping the process, particularly the thought process, and making it sure that come what may, the results have to be in favor of X or in favor of Y. Am I an agent of somebody? Am I a middleman? Am I a marketing staff?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm not. And this is what people have to understand. Oppose anybody you want to oppose, but there should be a ground to oppose.
Exactly. So
Support anybody, you should have a ground. But to be specific, you have mentioned BJP, that's why I'm talking about this, though the discussion is not on BJP, it is on interfaith dialogue. My community says, आप टिकट नहीं देते. Okay.
yes, that was a very.
This is a question which is faced in
Yes.
all elections, and a lot of writings you will find and articles and all that.
There is
in
no minister in
media,
the cabinet.
and so so on and so forth. Fair enough. My question is, when a nomination is given,
Right.
what is the moral responsibility of that particular constituency's Muslims? On one hand, you are complaining the ticket is not given. Now, when the ticket is given, you will go out of the way to make sure that the gentleman's deposits are forfeited. Then where is the logic left? Where is the demand and its authenticity and relevance left? It should have been a situation otherwise. With whatever intention
Yes.
a ticket is given, the Muslims of that particular constituency should make sure that the candidate wins, because when the candidate wins, it is a game of numbers out there.
Right.
When Muslims will start giving the numbers to BJP,
Yes.
I'm sure the BJP will start giving numbers to Muslims
And
as
make
well.
them ministers in the
Yes.
cabinet.
Yes. And as far as the cabinet part is concerned, at this point of time, it will be too early to make a final, pronouncement of the subject that no Muslim has been taken. Reshuffling is done, and taking is
but
generally...
the perception, sir, was that, that people from all different faiths have got the representation. But it was very, it appears to, the perception is that it was a selective move.
On the face value, it is absolutely right. Right? But I, as a responsible citizen of the country, and understanding the implications of ground realities and some compulsions and reservations, sometimes in politics, few things get slightly late.
Right.
But I am not willing to subscribe to the idea that there will be no Muslim in the cabinet of Prime Minister Modi.
Yes.
There has to be, and there will be, and there should be. My stand is as simple as that.
Absolutely. Sir, now I would like to draw your attention towards what Prime Minister Modi had said in one of his recent interviews before the elections or during the elections. He said that the Muslims have not been able to create an effective leadership for their community. Now I'd like to ask you, is there a need to cultivate a progressive Muslim leadership, or we are better without it?
As long as we continue to talk about everything in the context of Muslim, we will never ever reach our goals.
Right.
What is required? Leadership. And I want to be very categorical on this.
Yes.
Bhikkhu Ram Jain, I am giving you an example from Chandni Chowk constituency. He's a Jain. In the Chandni Chowk constituencies, how many Jains are there? Negligible number.
Yes.
Bhikkhu Ram Jain is given the ticket, a member of minority, receives overwhelming support of all communities, win the election. Likewise, in Gujarat also, a Jain chief minister was made.
Right.
Rupani, remember?
Yes.
Right? Did anybody object to that? The challenge before the Muslim community is that we have to evolve ourselves in such a way that we are not seen all the time as Muslim, and we should not be talking all the time as Muslim. Can't we grow ourselves into a wholesome character with a holistic personality that appeals to everybody irrespective of what community you belong to?
Like
and I give you one example. I'm summing it up. Yes. I give you an example. Had Dr. Abdul Kalam.
Yes. Kalam.
If he had been given a ticket from any constituency of India, a constituency which has hardly any Muslim population, he should have won with lakhs and lakhs of votes. I am a personal witness. As this is my habit, just to verify the actual credentials of Dr. Abdul Kalam.
Yes.
I met a number of people and all kinds of people.
Right.
And I tried my level best to provoke people.
Yes.
Those who are called VHPs,
right,
Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Bajrang Dal, this Vahani and that Vahani, right? The worst of hardliners, a common man in the street. I have tried with everybody to tarnish his image and by provoking, kuch aisa keh diya.
Right.
I am yet to find a Hindu. I am deliberately saying it. I am yet to find a Hindu.
Yes.
The worst of hardliners I am referring to.
Yes.
Who is willing to listen a word against Dr. Abdul Kalam.
And Kalam Sahib was, of course, a good Muslim as per all the parameters.
Why I am mentioning his name?
Yes.
He is a model and he is a module. Yes. I'm sure my listeners will understand me.
Yes.
He is a module and he is a model to follow.
Right.
So the Muslims have to stop talking all the time, Muslim. Why we hold conventions, educational problems of Indian Muslims. Did you ever hear educational problems of Jains, educational problems of Sikhs, educational problems of Christians, educational problems of Hindus. Do you have any example to quote to me?
Right.
No, you don't have. But our community, unfortunately so, everything that is happening, the tag of Muslim is attached with that. And this has led to our isolation. So to answer your question, one line answer is that Muslims have to grow themselves as holistic individuals, as wholesome personalities, like many other minority members who are not seen as coming from that particular community, but they are as acceptable to the majority as the people from the majority itself. So that's the challenge, and this challenge this community has to accept and has to live like that. Stop talking about that you have to raise Muslim leadership. Raise leadership.
Right.
And let that leadership be useful to everybody.
Right. Now, otherwise we continue to live in the same trap which we have been in since independence.
We are living.
Politics of fear, and the community has been unable to come up with reforms, and then they have to talk about their issues separately.
Very interesting thing. Sorry to interrupt you. There is no Muslim in cabinet. Everybody is talking about this. A lot is written in Urdu media.
Yes.
And I'm not the spokesperson of the government.
Right.
I'm an independent voice. If some person, I'm not mentioning about the government, I'm talking about the community. If somebody responsible says, you have forfeited our deposits, you have done at your end everything to defeat us. Not only this time, every time you do that. When you are finally opposed to us, and you have taken this course as a discourse for yourself,
right,
then what is it? Where is the moral ground to ask me, you are not giving me representation?
Yeah, there's no moral ground, but sir, then what do you expect?
But
Yes.
Atir, this explanation or narration is not to offer any justification to the government of the day. That is the difference between the individual thinking and the state thinking. The state is of all.
Yes.
The national leadership is for all.
Right.
So this is a common man thinking.
Yes.
A common man thinking cannot be the parameter of the state leadership, and that's why I said before, and I repeat before I close, that I am 100% sure that there will be positively a birth in the cabinet of the government of the day for a good Muslim.
Yeah, we are all looking forward to it, sir. Now, I'd like to draw your attention towards some of very good examples which have come forward during the elections, which is like of Ikra Hassan from Kairana.
Yes.
She was a Samajwadi Party candidate, but the way she approached her campaign was really remarkable, and that's why she attracted so many eyeballs, the media attention, because her approach was totally secular. And we saw that the visuals of all the elderly people, all the influential people of various communities, they are giving blessings to her. And that's how she is won with a huge margin. Do you think that we need to have such secular approach as you're talking about, rather than having a tunnel vision of fear?
Her win and victory, Atir,
Yes.
is a testimony to what I have just said before.
Right.
Her victory substantiates the ground which I had taken.
Yes.
That Muslims have to grow as good human beings,
Right.
as wholesome personalities,
Yes.
in which everybody sees something or the other for him and for them. I should not be seen all the time that I am Khwaja Iftikhar Ahmed.
Yes.
I should be seen in my working, in my conduct, in my behavior, in my style of working. I am a good human being and a good Indian citizen who is useful for everybody. Why can't we build this kind of an image?
Yes. But sir, how do we get out of this tunnel vision of political leaders within Muslim community who only think of winning by polarization or creating fear? We need to do something about this.
Some out of a box decisions have to be taken by the government of the day,
Right.
so that people like us, have a strong base to offer
Right.
good convictions to people
Yes.
where we are lacking today.
Yes.
I'm sorry to say that. Second, the intellectual of the Muslim community. Instead of criticizing the Muslim clergy and not picking up any role, I would urge them to pick up the role, to go active and to go to the people, which they are not going.
Right.
They will come here in some of the programs and they will deliver a good speech and that's all.
Exactly.
So the intellectuals of the Muslim community, they should come and they should go to the ground so that a constituency of goodwill is created where a social change we can see, the mindset change we can see, the stereotypes are going, we have to see. As of now, we are a community, I'm sorry to say, who's most governed by stereotypes, notions, inhibitions, fear psychosis and phobia.
Yes.
It is time that we get out ourselves from all these 5 negatives and come into the mainstream. And to come, when I say come into the mainstream, I don't say that Indians are not, that the Muslims are any less Indians than anybody else.
Absolutely.
But they have to change their track of thinking, their track of conduct and their track of reasoning, because that alone will bring them closer to everybody, and that will create space out there finally that every party will think that he is a good person and he should be given the responsibility.
Yes, sir. Sir, I would like to ask you, because you've already worked in this field for so long, what are other measures you think could go a long way in bringing about harmonious relations between Indian communities? What else can we do? Any sort of gestures, any...
I will give you 3 points, but at least 3 times during our conversation, I have mentioned about symbolism.
Right.
I have also mentioned about symbolic get-togethers of religious leaders and so on. Point number 1, accept that there are differences and conflicts.
Right.
That's point number 1.
That's given.
Yes. Identify those. Second point is that instead of getting into everything in one go, where the middle ground is the easiest to find and reach, that should be the starting point.
Yes.
That's point number 2. Point number 3 is that institutionalize by establishing National Interfaith Harmony and Dialogue Foundation under the garb of Ministry of Home Affairs. Give it a good budget, give it a good mandate, give it a proper statutory status, and it should have branches at all the states level, and those branches should go to the district level and from up to the tehsil level, so that this becomes a national, this has a national momentum, rather I should put it that way, right from the top up to the ground.
For a vision of 2047 to come to...
Imagine, Arthur, if this happens, and for example, every fortnightly, there's 10 people at the town level, 10 people at the state level, 10 people at the national level, if they are sitting and they are talking about
just a tea party maybe.
Whatever it is.
Yes.
Have good snacks, I have no objection. Have good food, no, I have no objection. But if you're talking good and about goodness, I think it will make a lot of difference.
Yes.
The only challenge where I would like to close, India has no issues. And I'm saying it to all my listeners and to the leadership of my country. Cutting across all parties, we have no issues. India has a great future. There's no doubt about it. Our confidence level is 10 out of 10. The only issue is, please, with folded hand I'd say, don't allow fragmentation and compartmentalization of the society under any circumstances. And it is not only one person's responsibility or a party's responsibility. It is the responsibility and duty of each one of us. And that when we are going to become the 3rd largest $5 trillion economy in the world, then we should be the first nation with the first class morality and first class humanity.
So the topic we are discussing is often taught at school level, and many people would wonder that why is there a need to discuss such topics. But today the time has come when we need to confront certain issues which have been pending for decades, and look for solutions. So you've come to our studio for this very important discussion. We'd like to thank you very much. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much, Akhtar.
Indians have yet again given us a new opportunity to strengthen our social bonding. This has happened after a long time, and we must make the best of this opportunity by making a conscious effort to reach out to other communities. By doing this, we will ensure a better future, a brighter future for all of us. A future which is free of fear and full of love for all Indians. That's all we have this week. We'll be back soon with another interesting episode. Till then, goodbye from the Matrix team.